L'Amour Media Versatility, we aim to provide comprehensive solutions to our clients. We have a team of experienced professionals who can help you with every aspect of your media needs. From documentation and marketing to promotion and more, we provide our clients with top-notch quality services. We understand that each client is unique and has specific needs. That's why our team works closely with you to understand your company and event goals and objectives. We are committed to providing the highest quality services in media and strive to exceed our clients' expectations. Our team is passionate about helping you reach your goals and making sure you get the best experience and results. If you're looking for a reliable business to help you with all your media needs, look no further than L'Amour Media Versatility. Contact us today to get started at 252-497-3817 or at www.lamour-photos.com.
What's up, family? Now, I usually don't hold out on information, but I've been finally released to let you all know that At Once Designs is going to be publishing its very own fashion magazine. Yes, you heard me. We are making history, and we are publishing our very own fashion magazine. Now, I need your help because we are launching also now our cover model competition. Now, in order to be submitted into our cover model competition, you have to submit to us professional pictures now. That means no selfies. I know y'all be taking some good selfies, but I'm sorry, we cannot take any selfies for this cover model competition. There will be 3 rounds in this contest. The first round is a photo submission, which is due by March 3rd. With this video, I'll be posting all the information that you all need in order to submit for the cover model competition. Now, the second round, you gotta stand by and see what's gonna happen. So every round is a little bit different, and you have to be able to submit in the first round in order to qualify for the second round. So I'm super excited. I'm so glad to be able to share this with my family, and we're gonna get y'all published. All right, so help us make history with At Once by being a part of our cover model competition. And hey, if you got some information that you want to submit into our magazine, let us know. We got you. Y'all have a great day on purpose.
Oh, this is definitely a vibe. You don't want to miss it. City Lights at the Runway is having their fashion show March 25th in Powder Springs, 7 p.m. You don't want to miss it. Models, cocktails, food. You're going to just enjoy the vibe. Come out, date night, girls night, men night. Just come out. See you there.
That's a vibe. What's it, why? Diamonds are forever. They're all I need to please me. They can stimulate and tease me. They won't leave in the night. I've no fear that they might desert me.
My full name is John Lee Spencer. I was Sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. Why am I proud to be a Marine? Do you want to talk all day long? Just a little. I'm proud to be a Marine because when I came in the Marine Corps, they said we wasn't capable of being a Marine. We didn't send for you. We didn't need you because we didn't send for you. Now you can get on the bus and go back home. But we didn't do that. We stepped up out of the bus to prove to the world that everybody in the United States was just as good as the other if given a chance. Well, at that particular time, we weren't really caring if we was a Montford Point Marine or not. We just wanted to be a United States Marine. And we wanted to make sure that the people knew that we were capable of being just as good or better as anybody else. That memorial there, it means a lot to me because I was one of the first black Marines to go into combat with these two 2nd and 3rd Ammo companies. We were the first to go, and that monument means a lot to us. But I didn't do nothing extraordinary because we was a group that was supposed to do a job. If we did it well, we come out with medals. If we did it wrong, we came out with a corpse. So I'm glad to be that we did it right and I came out living. That's where it all began right there. From an ammo box to a rifle. That's the way it was. We had been dedicated as United States Marines, not a black Marine or a white Marine. We were a United States Marine, so therefore that put us above color. It made us just one with our country. That's what make us feel so good. We were one with our country. That's what we need right now. It's togetherness. We need to come together like we did after Pearl Harbor. All for one and one for all.
To our show, The Colorful Voices of Sisterhood. My name is Agnes Herman, and today it is such an honor to be with us, a retired United States Marine and former director of the National Montford Point Marine Museum. Please welcome Houston Shinal. Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Mr. Shinal, we're glad that you're here with us today. So we're going to just kind of kick it off. We know that you as the former executive director of Montford Point. Mm-hmm. Can you explain the difference between the Montford Point and the Vietnam Marines and a little bit further in detail to us?
Sure. Based on our earlier conversation, a Montford Point Marine is identified as an African American Marine who actually went to boot camp at Montford Point Camp, which is now known as Camp Johnson. Okay. And that camp was actually only open from 1942 to 1949. And once they closed Montford Point down in 49, then all Marines trained at Parris Island, San Diego.
Okay. So when we're looking for Montford Point Marines, it's the ones that actually was trained
at Montford Point.
At Montford Point. Correct. Okay. All right. And is that base the only base that the Black Marines could train at?
For boot camp, yes. It was the only boot camp for African Americans. And again, due to segregation, that was one of the stipulations when blacks were allowed to come in the Marine Corps after the executive order was signed, that they could not train with white Marines. And to facilitate that, they established a boot camp. This area was under construction at the time, and they selected Montford Point to be the boot camp for the African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So still to this day, if people, when they go overseas, they have to come through to Camp Geiger or what they call air station to get trained?
Yes, but that's different training.
Okay.
And Marines trained at boot camp at Camp Johnson. Mm-hmm. Camp Johnson is still a training base to this day. Marines go there for admin training, finance training, and a number of other skills. But again, those individuals are not considered Montford Point Marines just because they trained at Camp Johnson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it was from a certain period of time.
Correct.
I see.
Okay.
You know, I got to know about Montford Point. I moved here from Salt Lake City, Utah, almost 2 years ago. And when I asked my friends where I can go, you know, what we have here, what would be what are the attractions here, and they usually tell us, oh, go visit the Montford Point. So that's how I get to know about that.
And that's great. Montford Point is, we like to think it's a pearl here in Jacksonville. Point definitely worth coming to see.
Mm-hmm.
It captures the history of that particular time and the training that the African Americans went through there. The memorial itself, the statue, you mentioned Utah.
Yes.
The actual statue that's on top of the pedestal at the memorial was actually built in Utah.
Wow. Go Utah.
A gentleman by the name of Stan Watts was actually the individual that built that statue.
And you guys brought it back here?
Yes, and it was shipped here. We put it in a warehouse because we weren't quite ready for it. And then we had a big, monument placing day, cranes and everything just to get it up and in place.
So the one that's out there now, was that the original plan of the monument?
No, the monument went through a couple of changes. The original plan, if you've been to see it, the original plan had the Marine on top of the pedestal carrying a artillery round, vice a rifle.
Okay.
One of the primary jobs that the Montford Point Marines did in the war, they were ammo carriers, stretcher bearers. So they were the guys that took the bullets to the front lines for the white Marines that were fighting. So we thought that was a critical piece as a part of that monument.
Okay. My question for you, who was originally established Montford Point and Museum?
Okay, the museum, I don't remember the exact year, but Camp Johnson Base was actually instrumental in starting the museum. The museum actually started out as what was called a historical reading room. The original headquarters building, which was building M100, housed a series of there wasn't a lot of printed history about the Black Marines at that time. So Leatherneck magazine, there were occasional articles. There were one or two other books that were written, but that was where they put the materials. And they had standard tables and chairs, and you go in and you could flip through these periodicals and read what history there was about the Montford Point Marines. Then sometime later, as the base was changing, the opportunity came to move from that one building into one wing of where the museum is currently housed. And we accepted that opportunity, and then we started the drive to gain materials for the museum. And when we initially started, we didn't have enough artifacts to fill that one wing.
Wow.
But then from there, it grew. It was H-style building, so it had 4 wings in it. And like I said, we struggled to fill the one. And now we have the entire building, all 4 wings, and we need more room just to store artifacts.
I was recently over there, and I liked it where I felt like I was at the movie theater. Like I was sitting in the movie theater, and we try to take people when they come in to go to the museum. But I know there's a difference between Montford Point, the monument, and the museum. Those are 3 different entities, right?
Yes. And again, the Montford Point Marine Association, which is a nonprofit veteran organization similar to the American Legion. Members of the association are the ones that basically sponsor the museum. We provide the staffing for the museum, and the same thing with the monument. Well, the monument was built with community funds. It wasn't just the association that did that. We did a fundraising drive, which originally started for this particular project in 2009. And we had to raise right at $1 million to do that project.
And you was one of the lead person raising that money, wasn't you?
I was the director.
At that time. Okay.
That's the funny story.
Okay.
I signed on to be the monument director. I wanted to be the guy that built the memorial. I did not want to be the guy that raised the money.
Okay.
But once I got started, I learned people only wanted to talk to the individual that knew what was going on. In most cases, that turned out to be me. So unfortunately, I ended up in the fundraising arena anyway.
Well, I want to go a little deeper about this Montford Point. I was reading the history about it, and I came across. So the recruitment of black men for the Marine Corps started on June 1st, 1942. Did the racism cause any Montford recruits to quit the program?
Well, again, it was joining the military. So you didn't necessarily have an option just to quit.
Okay.
However, some of the Montford Pointers tell us the stories of that's exactly what happened. that they had white drill instructors come to them and tell them, you can leave. You can just go away. Sergeant Major Huff told that story. And nobody will come looking for you. But Sergeant Major Huff said that they had a pact within the boot camp that nobody was failing. That if you came to Montford Point to be a Marine, you'd leave as a Marine. And to the best of our knowledge, they didn't have any dropouts.
That's great.
That's good.
Because they would, whatever your shortfall was, they would team up and do whatever they needed to do to make sure you cross the finish line.
They'll pick you up. They'll lift you up.
That's great. What motivated you to join in the military? What motivated you specifically to
join the military?
Yes.
I was sitting home bored one summer in Mississippi, and I had a friend to come over and say, hey, I'm thinking about joining the Marine Corps. You want to go? I said yes. I thought he was just talking. And the recruiter called me a week later, and we joined the Marine Corps.
Wow.
Yeah. And there was this commercial on the TV at the time where they showed a series of Marines running through a field, and the caption was, if everybody could be a Marine, we wouldn't be the Marines. That was my motivation to join the Marine Corps.
Now, was you actually a Montford Point Marine?
No. Okay. I didn't come Marine Corps until 1970.
Okay, so that was definitely well after the fact. But you had the heart too, because I noticed that still there's a lot of Black Marines don't even know the history of Montford Point Marines.
Well, that's true, and that's one of the things about history. Unless somebody is telling it, everybody else doesn't get it. And if it's just in a book, unless it's in a class or somebody's doing a seminar or something, there is no opportunity. And again, the Marine Corps did not go out of its way early on to promote the Montford Point chapter. Now, we as Marines were proud of Marine Corps history. Every battle, every general, every significant event was part of that history. We were taught Marine Corps history in boot camp. That was part of your indoctrination, your pride piece. You knew that you were joining a team that already had a legacy. But unfortunately, the Montford Point chapter was not taught. We didn't learn that in boot camp. It is now.
It is.
Thanks to a former Commandant, General Amos, the Montford Point story is now part of boot camp training.
That's good.
Yeah. Which, again, it's like it gives you have a reason to be a part of the team because you have a family member, a cousin, somebody you know, or even somebody that looks like you that was in and was successful. So therein is your individual pride, and I'm one too.
Yes, and you have that drive to do better too.
Right. Yeah. So now when I first got introduced to Montford Point, and it ties back to Black History Month, I was a warrant officer stationed in 29 Palms, California, and it was February. We were planning for Black History Month activities, and Sergeant Major Huff was going to be a speaker down in San Diego. So our committee opted to see if we could get him to come to 29 Palms, which he did. I didn't even know there was a Montford Point. I didn't know the history of Montford Point or any of that prior to that. And I had gone to school at Camp Johnson and didn't know any of the history because nobody talked about it.
Wow. So what advice you would give for African or for Black Americans to learn the history? Because sometimes school, they don't teach something like that. What advice you will give to young Marine and Black Marine military? They want to join military. What advice would you give them how to learn the importance of the history?
What I would tell them is someone teaching you history is not their responsibility. Learning history is our individual responsibility.
I agree. I agree.
Any place you go, anything you're involved in, it has a history.
Yes.
So ask the questions. How long has this been here? What were significant landmarks? And you can individually, you'll discover, there is a rich history here. And then you'll discover that you'll end up telling just like I'm doing now.
Yeah. Yes. So the way military developed back, Abraham Lincoln and Douglas, Frederick Douglass, that's when they're trying to ship Black slavery at that time to Hispanic. And that's how the join to military started, right? If I have correct. And that's how black started joining military.
Okay, well, there were blacks in all of the services.
At the time.
At
It
the
was
time.
not, yeah, at the time.
Right.
So how the slavery to this day shape and black Americans.
In terms of their
From
willingness
that.
to join the military?
Yes.
Well, again, military for blacks, especially back in that day, if you grew up in the South, and it was a step up. It was an opportunity to go.
Compromise.
The work was hard.
Yes.
The duties were there, but it was always better than where they came from. So why would I join the military if I was on a cotton field in Mississippi? Because I no longer work 15-hour days. So that would have been a driving factor for a lot of them. It was an opportunity to better themselves and provide for their families.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Shinal, who was the highest ranking officers that come out from the Montford Point?
The highest ranking officer out of Montford Point. We ended up with a couple of Marines that went on to be generals out of Montford Point. And you asked me, and I'll slip my mind.
That's good. That's good enough.
Yeah. But yeah, so and even now.
Is one of them the Branch? I think the last name is Branch now.
Frederick Branch. Frederick Branch was the first officer.
Yes, officer.
African-American officer Marine. Yeah.
Ah.
And
I got a chance. I think his last name was Patterson. And I want to say he came out of California or somewhere a couple years ago when y'all had him up for Point reunion. I got a chance to sit with him and to talk with him and just listen at the history. He traveled down, but I love to see, how everybody takes so much pride in locating the Montford Point and watching y'all work to honor these men is just fabulous to me. So when I was at the thing and I'm listening at him as original Montford Pointer, and he traveled down here, and he says how he was so taken care of. I mean, they was met from the airport to the hotel. That was just like so much joy because it was almost like my grandfather being taken care of to hear the history of it. So I take a lot of pride in seeing how you're trying to connect. But how can we, if people have Montford Pointers, I know there's a way if they know that their parents or grandparents was in Montford Point, is there a way that they can connect so they can be recognized? Because I know y'all still trying to honor the Montford Point. And then we're going to shift back to the monument.
Okay. Well, even on the monument side, the association is still looking for families. Even though we know the Montford Pointers are deceased, the association took on responsibility of presenting the Congressional Gold Medal replica to those families and living Montford Pointers that did not make it to D.C. to receive it. So a family may not know, and you may not even know their dad was in the Marine Corps, and that's the case with a lot of them. We have families right now coming this August to receive their father's medals that are just learning that dad actually was in the Marine Corps. Because after they got out, they did not go back home to brag about it. Because it was not all, it wasn't a great party, and everybody was glad to be there. Some of those guys endured some real racial hardship to be Marines. They did their year or their 2 years, and they left the Marine Corps and went on to do other things. Some of them became mayors. Some of them actually stayed here in Jacksonville after being Montford Point. Turner Blunt stayed in Jacksonville, and they'll tell you they had no idea. There was nothing in their mind that told them that they would stay in Jacksonville, because Jacksonville offered nothing for them. Jacksonville at that time, is nowhere near the Jacksonville it is today. They didn't have a love for Montford Pointers.
Right.
Okay. So these guys' intent was, when I finish here, I'm out of here, and they end up staying, and they discovered. So they actually got to see the change that this town has gone through. Which says what I used to be, I'm no longer today. And if you live long enough to see that, then you can take pride in the same place that you felt like resented you earlier in your life.
Yeah. So I'm glad you say that. So how being black in the military and the rank, even you work hard with what other race doing, and the promotion, they don't promote is different. How that affect, like I know a lot of Marines, even when I was in Africa, and what they we have conversation. They say they have education background, all that, but they don't get promoted easily. How that affect for Black Americans when it comes to the race part?
Well, during my time, if we were not being promoted just because we were Black, it was not on the top of the table. Whereas it was understood in the Montford Pointers day. You had guys that were PFCs the whole time they were in the Corps. So they had a system, and we understood what the promotion system was. And there were a series of things that you had to do in order to get promoted. And most of us that did that got promoted. So I wouldn't be one to ask about the promotions, because I moved up through the ranks. I don't know whether somebody liked me or what, but I had 2 meritorious promotions within the ranks, and then picked up warrant officer and went to the top of that rank structure. So sometimes the system, if there was something that happens, it was hidden. It wasn't obvious to the Marine.
Mm-hmm.
So you would recall, and it was fair, shared fair, like, and if it's white and Black, they're doing the same thing. But most of the time,
within my small circle, so I couldn't speak for the entire Corps, okay? But that unit that I was with, I got promoted on time. And there were very few Marines that were white Marines that any of us could turn to and say, well, they promoted him, and everybody knows that he's not the next guy to be promoted. Wasn't within the circles that I served in, for the most part.
They did exist.
They did exist. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with the change in the system where you have to make a certain rank by a certain time.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of that is on the individual. But if it boils down to a promotion between a white Marine and myself, and there's one, they don't look for reasons to promote you. They look for reasons not to promote you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you don't put all the pigs in all the holes, then you're giving them the reason to justify not.
Yeah.
So it's kind of goes along to my next question to you. In 1940s, as you can see, I was reading an article of history here. It says, one thing they weren't allowed to do is to give orders to the white Marines. How do you take that?
Okay, that was during segregated boot camp, right? Okay.
Yes.
And as I mentioned, we're talking to you all before the show, that was one of the reasons that the South was chosen as boot camp for the Blacks. It was to put them in an area where the whites in the area were accustomed to driving Blacks, dictating to Blacks, ordering Blacks. And so, yeah, that was the standing policy. A Black Marine could not give orders to a white Marine. And it did not matter if the Black Marine outranked the white Marine.
How did they get everything done? Even though they couldn't give orders, but I'm pretty sure things had to get done.
Yeah.
Was there signals?
Well, somebody's always in charge. And even if you're a white corporal and you're in charge, and I'm a Black PFC, somebody gives direction to the rest of the team. And what you find out in a lot of cases was the Black Marine that knew what had to be done and understood what had to be done would talk to them to get it done. But they wouldn't challenge that, simply because why would I stop you from getting the job done and I've got to report back it's done or not done?
So did you experience your time? Like, I know that's when it's a segregation, but have you experienced, if so, how that shaped you to this day?
No, I didn't. Again, I came in the 70s. There was still a lot of racial tension in the Marine Corps. In fact, back in my day, we had to go to diversity classes. We actually had to sit in class and figure out how the Blacks would get along with the whites. So that was still prejudice, and all that was still a part of the Marine Corps, even in the 70s. But again, it wasn't as outward when I came through, okay? Again, when Marine Corps got to the point where they told, because there was a time, like when I went to boot camp, the guy that was in charge, He could say whatever he wanted to say, call you whatever he wanted to call you, degrade you in any fashion he felt necessary, and it was okay. And then when the Marine Corps changed in the 70s, says, okay, we can no longer do this. You'd be amazed at the number of white guys who had to get out of the Marine Corps.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You know, I just cannot imagine
because
how...
there was no change in some of the old guys.
Yeah, because the control, they cannot have.
Right.
But it's amazing now that diversity, equity, inclusion is still being said, and it's the year 2023.
Yes.
I just can't imagine.
You know,
how
and it's amazing when I hear corporations saying that we need to do that. We're in 2023, and my Black history is real. Like I tell y'all all the time, my Black history cannot be contained in just the month of February. We will celebrate all the time. But now people are still having to do DEI. I mean, because it's still there. It's, you know, it's still there. But what part do we play? I don't believe in playing the victim. What part do we do?
Yeah.
We have to be the one to get our history out.
Yeah, we will be the voice.
We'll be the voice. So the platform today, I wanted to read a part of this. It says, recruitment of Black men from the Marine Corps started on June 1st, 1942. A year after the order had been signed, the Corps looked specifically for men with skills needed to build a facility where Black Marines were trained. So is this where Montford Point came from? Because they had to come somewhere to be trained.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is the reason why the monument came
was built to recognize those
So-
Marines that trained on that same ground. Yes.
So they filled a quota for 900 man quota, and that's some of the first Black recruits arrived at Montford Point in North Carolina. So that's history. So I just want to know, like the vision. I want to go back to the vision of the Montford Point, actually the monument itself, because I know you was executive director for
the museum.
Well, no, I moved from the museum to the monument.
Okay. So I want to. Can you kind of talk about that? Your there and how the monument came about, how you guys had to get them, you know, what you had to do.
Well, the monument project initiated at the national level, and it was, again, a matter of raising funds. We had been given a spot on the base at Camp Johnson to do a memorial. And once we got started, Boeing Aircraft Company gave us $20,000. The association got together and designed a memorial that would go on that site. That did not come about. It just kind of laid on the table. And then 20 years later, times had changed, people had changed, and we felt like it was time to, the Montford Pointers were being recognized, okay, in at levels that had never been seen before. So again, our association was in the same vein. We started the memorial. We haven't finished the memorial. We need to take that out, dust it off, and get that done. And again, so with that being said, we actually launched a new program in 2009, and the whole fundraising we presented it to the city. The city says, "Well, show us what you can do, and we'll let you know what we can do." The state did the same thing. So we put on a national fundraising drive. You know, across the entire United States to raise the funds. After we had the design which is there now, that we knew was going to be the project we were hoping to build. So we had to do fundraising to get that done, because the base, the Department of the Navy, we have an agreement with them. We build it, you'll maintain it. So that's where we are now. We built it, finished it, gave it to them, and the Department of Defense now maintains the memorial. But they wouldn't let us. They wouldn't let us put a single brick in until you have all the money to pay for all the bricks. Because they had a lot of experience when projects were started, and money ran out, and no money came in, and now you got this something in the yard going. What was that supposed to be? So again, we were surprised. We raised $1.2 million to build that memorial. We built it 8 years sooner than the average memorial is done, and we finished it on the budget. So the interest in the history was there, and you can relate that to how people gave their money. Okay, once we told the story and what we were trying to accomplish, and show them what we were hoping to do, as much as I did not want to be part of fundraising, it was not that difficult a task. And allow me to say this: even though the memorial is done, we are still looking for families. We're still looking for Montford Point Marines to identify. We are still we sold engraved bricks. We have a section with just Montford Pointers' names, and then anybody else who want to donate can do the bricks at the memorial. We are still doing that.
How much are the bricks?
You can get if his brick is for a Montford Pointer, to recognize a Montford Pointer, it's a $300 brick.
Okay.
You can get an 8x8 brick for $800 and a 12x12 brick for $1,200. And when we really set those prices, the guy that set those prices, we said, you won't sell them. There's no way you'll sell bricks at those prices. Was not a problem. Was not a problem. And so we still invite people to be a part of that history. We invite families that now know that they're Montford Pointers.
Yes.
They have a member that's a Montford Pointer if he's not recognized in that fashion. Because again, we put in a wall of stars because Marine Corps did not have a complete list of names of all the Marines that trained at Montford Point. So that's why the wall out there has stars on it instead of names. So the only place that we do have names is with the engraved bricks. So if someone wants to identify a Montford Pointer and wants to have his name in the memorial, that's the way they go about it.
Oh, okay.
Y'all raised all that money. Does the government donate any money, or it was just?
Oh yeah. Once we got started, the Lawrenceville County, the city, even the state of North Carolina. In fact, we were down to our last $400,000 we needed to begin the project, and then the state stepped in and
that's awesome.
And covered that.
That's awesome.
That's good. That's good.
So, I think you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I am just curious, Mr. Shinal, how many Montford Marines were killed and injured, during World War II? Is there a...
I don't know that number, but there's a lot of people that thought Montford Pointers did not go into combat in World War II, and actually they did. Wow. So yeah, there were some that were actually killed in combat in World War II.
But just with the history of that, do you think that because they was of color, they put on the front line?
No, because when they originally went to the war, they didn't go to the war to fight. Again, like I said, they were ammo carriers and cooks and bakers and truck drivers, everything but combat soldiers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So no, they weren't pushed to the front line. What they discovered was they got in 1 or 2 pinches, and the only individuals left there with guns were black Marines. And then they discovered they can shoot as well as we can.
Oh, wow, okay.
They go in the foxhole and stay till the fight's over, just like we do. So that changed a lot of impressions, because that was the thought as to why they didn't want black Marine Corps. They said we couldn't fight and we wouldn't stay for the fight. We'd run, and then when it got thick, they were in the war. They discovered last men standing were us.
Wow. And so even though Army developed before Marine, developed before Marine, there were a lot of black people joined armies. So it means that World War I, if I'm not mistaken, they were Army. Most of them, they were black. So where is the mentality came from saying that for Marine, black people, they cannot go fight?
No. A Marine fighter is a different fighter than an
black.
Army fighter.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Okay.
Black means that our black, they were fighting in army. They were in the front line.
Okay.
So where the mentality as black Marine cannot fight, they have to cook and wash. Okay,
I'm gonna answer that because we're talking about a mentality. That says the Marines were the elite of the elite, and you could be in the Army and be successful. You could be in the Air Force and be successful. You could be in the Navy and be successful. But now when it comes to being a Marine, that's a totally different breed. And you people just don't have what it takes to be one of us. Because you realize I was in my bigoted mode when I said that about you, right? So that was the mentality. These guys were so ingrained that they were so good that there was just no way on God's green earth that a black man could do that.
So this is when I'm saying mentality, and even though the Marine sees as black men, they cannot do that. But black men, he has done that.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so
he wasn't a Marine. But he wasn't a Marine.
I'm trying to look deeper. Like, what is that mentality? If black, we carry our DNA. So if black men has done Army, Air Force, what's the mentality black men cannot do in Marine? That's what I'm trying to...
Okay, but we're talking about a mentality that doesn't believe a black can do anything well. See, so that problem was in the individuals that were in charge. General Holcomb, which was the commandant at the time, okay? When they talked about having blacks in the Marine Corps, he stood up and said, if it's a choice of having 5,000 whites or 20,000 blacks, I'll take the whites.
Yep.
It's here.
That was his bigotry, you know, because they just could not fathom you or I doing that job, and definitely not as well as he was doing it.
He said it was a disgrace.
Yeah,
you know,
the fact that they had to let us in. Yeah.
So that is still these days is happening. So what is, like you were saying earlier, Diana, what is with our self, within, to still that doubt for black generation, young generation to come, and they struggle with that, and they don't see. It's time. I feel like, yes, they've been told you cannot be that, you cannot do that, even though black has shown they can do it. So what advice you will give to the generation now, and somehow is something missing and is some doubt. We've been told that we cannot do it when they know they can do it. Did you guys understand what I'm trying to say?
Okay, that goes back to what you were saying, the history.
History, yeah.
But like you said, now I've read a book or two, and I've seen a video or three, so I see that blacks can do this. So if I'm standing at the door and you say I can't do that, well, that's already been proven not to be true. So obviously, the reason that I can't come through the door has nothing to do with me being black. You have a different prejudice as to why you don't want me in.
Sometimes it's inferior fear. Somebody gonna take over.
Yeah,
There's a lot of that to me. Inferior.
I think it's something it's broken when I see as our black that it's just some that when they plant a seed on for a long time, you are not good enough. You cannot be like that. But right now, the opportunity is available for everybody. It's not the same like it used to. I just that I have my son, my oldest son. He's African, but when you see him, he looks like black American, and I have so much fear for him and scared, like what is gonna happen to him. So, and he was hanging out with the wrong crowd, and so a lot of our black generation, when they have, I do not like when they say white man has done this, and this is the reason for them. We're not doing certain things. I don't like that. Yes, you can. People, they can still try to stop you. People, they can still try to say things to you. But that should never be excuse for us to not better ourselves.
Absolutely.
To not push ourselves.
And that was the story that the Montford Point Marines
did
established. You can say out of your mouth, I can't do this, but give me the gun. As long as you don't give me the opportunity, then you can say that I can't do something. Okay? Now, I can't take an opportunity. You know, again, the opportunity has to be there. And for the blacks, especially young guys, if you understand that one of the things that my mom used to tell us when we were kids, everything you do follows you throughout your life.
That's right.
Yes.
So you can't wait till you get grown to decide that you're going to establish a lifestyle that's successful. Right.
Yeah.
You got to understand that the odds will be against you, and anything you do that's not acceptable, somewhere down the road, somebody will dig it up and bring it back and use it to prevent you from moving ahead.
Yes.
So they need to understand early on, believe it. It's better to do right and not have it, to need it, than to not do it and look back and wish you had.
Oh, that's so true. That is good. That's good.
That's really good. And
yeah.
This is really fascinating to me, the historical, focal point about Montford Point. But my question is, has it been a movie or books written about it?
There are a number of books out. There's a movie in the works right now.
Ooh, nice.
We've been working on that for a number of years. Once it comes out, the title of it is Black Boots.
Oh, nice.
Black Boots.
We're hoping to get that out it's been a long journey, and we have learned that getting a movie production, there are documentaries that have been done on Montford Point, but a actual movie like the Tuskegee Airmen, it's a long road.
Yes.
It's a long road.
Wow. Nice.
But we're trying to give you the platform to get this information out, because this is a lot of good history.
It is.
I think schools should take trips to Montford Point, to the museum, to the monument.
Field trip.
It should be field trips. It should be part of the history taught all the time. Whether the schools do it, we need to do it. We need to make sure that is passed down from generation to generations on it. There's a part in here that says civil rights was gained not in the name of liberty, but in the name of war. Civil rights. It wasn't the first time black servicemen were called on to fight for the U.S. until partway through the War of 1812, when demand for service members increased. The Navy banned the recruitment of African Americans. So it was going around, in not just in one part, it was different things that was going around. But so the importance to me of the Montford Point and the Marines that y'all build a monument for is all this history. To me, all this history needs to be told. We need to recognize the Montford Point Marines and the stuff that they paved the way, how they had to fight through the battle of that. So I want to go back to one other thing too. Is I think you explained how you got involved, and I know that you was a former executive director, and I remember Mr. Finney Griggs, Louise Griggs was a director, and I know Takesha Smiley now is the director, right? So do y'all serve a certain amount of times, years before it's somebody else as a director?
The directorship is an appointed position. The national president appoints the museum director.
Who's the national president?
The current president, James T. Abrahart Jr.
Okay.
He's out of Mobile, Alabama right now. And the Greggses were the directors for a long time. I was part of the initial team, myself, Judy James, Nat James, that actually opened up the museum. And then Finney and Louise were the directors for a long time. I didn't become the director until Finney got sick.
Right.
Okay, and then Louise couldn't do it by herself. And I joined because we had worked together before. And one of the ways we got to keep Louise on was by having somebody there that she already knew what was going on. So she was stayed along while after Finney got sick. And then Takesha replaced me.
Okay, so we have one question here from one of our viewers. Would you like to read it?
Which one is?
This one
How
here.
do you family member go through the process of finding a male member from 1942, 1949 is an original Montford Point Marine?
And who do they talk to? What information is needed to verify they did serve to get the Congressional Gold Medal?
Okay. Go to the national website, MontfordPointMarines.org, and leave a contact request, and some of us will get back with them and tell them how they can go to the archives to see if there are records there to determine whether or not an individual is a Montford Point Marine. If we determine that they are a Montford Point Marine and they have not received a Congressional Gold Medal, the association will provide the medal with ceremony. We do August 26th is Montford Point Marine Day, and we do a formal ceremony here. But we have 40 chapters throughout the United States, and if that individual can't come here, we have a chapter that will come to them and present their medals.
You got it?
I think you went to D.C. as well. D.C. area one time too, right?
Yeah.
Medals were the original ceremony took place at Washington, D.C. at the Capitol.
Okay.
Okay, and we have a chapter in D.C.
Okay.
So if they don't know for sure, definitely go to the website, leave their information, and let us help them through that trail to find out. If they just want to themselves, they can go to archives.gov, which is where the repository is for military records. Okay. Put in the information, fill out the form, and they will do the research for them. Bear in mind, they are still in COVID mode. So if you put in a request, you'll need to follow up on it. It may take longer than it used to get an answer back, but they will eventually get back to you.
Yes. So we trying to also empowering women in our show, and it was at the time it was any woman in yes.
When the males came on, there were no women. There were no African American women in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Because female Marines came on, and they trained with the Navy because there was no training camp for female Marines. So the Navy actually trained the first female Marines.
Yeah.
That's what Ms. Barbara Butler talked about last week on the show. Yeah.
Well, really, I'm really learning a lot today. I mean, in my country, I don't think we taught this. I mean, we have history there, history subject, but we, of course, they have to teach us our own history.
Yeah.
I think it's very important. Earlier, you were saying that it's good, it's cool to take them to teach. Also, it's very important for parents to teach their children their history, because history has been written. But we had a community meeting, and when the lady, she was really upset, and they don't teach enough in our history in the school. And simply, I say, why are you blaming school? This is your children. You want your children to learn your history. Then teach them. We are responsible. What we want to teach. Yeah, it's school. They're not going to sit there teach your children what history has done. Maybe they have our section. Like my daughter now, she's learning because it's Black history. They teach, but everyday history happen.
That's right. And then I keep telling, they put my history in the month of February, the shortest month. No. Black history has to be taught 365.
Yeah,
but I had a question that I want to ask you, and it slipped my mind. With the monument, is there another phase to the monument? Will you still be building on to the monument?
No, we're done.
We're done with the monument?
We're done.
Okay.
All we do now is maintain and upkeep.
Okay.
And we work with the base to do that.
Okay. So, but the museum itself, we're still adding on stuff to the museum.
Yes, they are still accepting artifacts. They're still looking for memorabilia that families may have, and they're accepting that as it comes up. We've had situations where an individual died, and neighbors, whoever went into the house to help and realized he had a lot of military stuff, they turned out to be Montford Pointers. And we've gotten phone calls from people that say, hey, I'm looking at this stuff, and it looks like it might be from the Montford Pointers, and we've gone as far as almost a DC just to pick up artifacts. The Montford Pointer was gone, no immediate family, and we were able to get our hands on those artifacts. So yeah, any opportunity, we accept those at the museum.
What would distinguish that they was Montford Pointers? What will we be looking for?
Again, we're going to have to establish if he went to boot camp, 42 to 49, Marine boot camp. Their discharge documents. And all of them don't have discharge documents because, again, there was a fire at the Naval Records place and a lot of records were lost. So we've had one or two families. We try to work with them. Any documentation that we can identify, we will look to try to dig through that to see if there's a glimmer of anything that we can solidly say, yes, that would validate that he went to boot camp in Montford Point, and then we'll recognize him as such.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a lot of really a lot of
history.
And it's an ongoing thing at the museum. When you say that, that's what the museum does. Okay, we do a Congressional Gold Medal at the monument once a year, but for the museum, it's a 365 job, 365-day job. They're constantly looking for and accepting and working with families to do that.
Now, can people volunteer at the museum?
Yes, you sure can.
So how do they go about if they're interested in volunteering?
Go to the National website. The museum is there. They can get in touch with the director, Takesha Smiley, and then she can work with them to get them on board.
What is any event is coming out soon, and you guys doing?
The local chapter is having the annual Heritage Dinner Dance, which is actually this Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Where we started out originally recognizing the Montford Pointers. Okay. They were the main focus for that particular Black History event. And So that goes on. And again, jump all the way over to August this year, August 26th. Again, Montford Point Marine Day, and this will be the 81st anniversary of the Montford Point Marines.
Wow.
So we're expecting a big presentation this year.
I would like to come. Be honest with you guys. I'm sitting here. I have not been to the museum yet. Shame. Shame.
No.
I was listening to you guys I'm like, let them, but I said I have to get clean, and I should do better.
They're open on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and then the second and fourth Saturday.
There you go.
Okay,
I swear, I was just listening to you guys.
For all
I'm
of
like,
you that say I can't make it because I work all week, 2 weekends a month, they're open.
Yes.
I have to learn. I'm telling you guys, listen, I will do better. Learn more.
And it's a positive. Believe it or not, it's a negative piece of history that today is received very positively.
Yeah. Always.
And a lot of that has to do with the Montford Pointers, because when they went through Montford Point Camp, they had two options. They could have gone in and tore up the place about just what was going on around them, or they could have stuck to the task at hand, which opened door for guys like me to come along behind them. Because they could have proved that blacks couldn't be Marines simply by going in and not trying to be Marines.
I have a last question for you, Mr. Shinal. You mentioned about the black Marines. They just cook and that's their job, right? But did they get the same benefits as the regular?
Yes.
Okay, good.
They got paid $3.75 a month or something crazy like that.
How much?
It wasn't very much. Military pay was not that great.
It's not good.
It's
not at all.
It's not.
Yeah, but when you figure if you worked in a field in Mississippi, you were making 30 cents.
Because I thought you said,
So if you go someplace and you make $1.65, that's a big jump.
At the time,
right.
it's just time change. But what Agnes, you just say, when people look at you down like you belong here, it hurts as people, right?
Yeah.
And these days now, what you say, what it was bad, now it's positive, right? So this is history. What is history teaching us?
Yeah, and hopefully in our case, this change from then to now will solidify the fact that we'll never go back to that.
We hope not.
We hope if you don't know the history, you're subject to repeat the same mistakes.
That's why it's important to teach history so we do not have to repeat, right?
And we try to do that at the museum, and we give tours at the monument. My goal is to take and do a brief with a crowd, a mixed crowd. And when I get done with that presentation, no one in that crowd, regardless of race, should walk away feeling like I've dumped on them. Okay, they need to walk away with a sense of I didn't know that either. Those were some tough times. And then you have everybody able to say, Montford Point is a piece of history you might want to check out, in black or white.
Right here in Jacksonville.
And also, you guys made easy for now black new generation to get in as military, to be officers from college to go officer. I know a lot of young Marine that went straight from school, college, and they became officer because of you guys. And they
go straight.
And believe it or not,
open the door.
Believe it or not, it's more difficult to get in the military now than it was when we came in. The standards are higher.
Oh, the standard.
Because back in the day, you got in trouble in your hometown, and the local sheriff said, "I'm gonna give you one or two choices."
Oh, yes.
Go to jail or go to the military.
Yes.
And the military will take you.
Yeah.
Well, now
they don't.
No.
If you're not clean, you cannot go to military.
They have standards that everybody can't join the military. So that goes back to what I said about be careful what you do as a young man.
Yeah, it affects you.
Down the road, you could close the door.
Yeah.
That you haven't
So
even
they do background checks.
They do.
Background check.
Even though the standard is high, it's for self. For people to correct if they want to go into Marine. It's like now we don't have time to babysit you.
That's it. Yep.
So you have to have a instructor. At the time, you can go military, but you're going to do certain things. You see? I mean, it's kind of...
Well, then and now is pretty different.
Yeah.
Sometimes people need discipline.
That's what I'm saying. So it's good for the discipline. Right. You cannot do
sometimes
things.
They don't get it at home. So.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they may be where they need to go to get some discipline.
Yeah. Back then, that's what they used to go military because they don't have any life, like you said, you just get away and, okay, let me go grind. But now, like, you have to have some discipline before you come in.
Now, Mrs. Shinal, I want to ask one question before we get ready to wrap up. There's a gentleman, I don't know whether his name was Sergeant Major Huff. He was in more than one branch of service. Mm-hmm. Was that him?
No, that was Johnson. Hatchmark Johnson.
Hatchmark. Yeah. That's why he got the name Hatchmark. Can you explain that?
Okay. Hatchmark Johnson, that was his nickname, Hatchmark. And Hatchmark was the service stripes that they wore on the sleeve that told how many years you've been in. Mm-hmm. Well, he served with the Buffalo Soldiers. And then he went on to serve in the Navy. He was actually in the Navy when they opened up boot camp for Marines. And the Secretary of the Navy actually released him from the Navy so he could join the Marine Corps. And then he became one of the first drill instructors. Wow. He was the first African-American Sergeant Major. And he had 2 Sergeant Majors. But he was one of the first African-American Sergeant Majors out at Camp Johnson.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's my mom's name, so I claim him.
Yeah, there you go.
She's a Johnson, so I claim her.
I think North Carolina here, they have history, and especially around Georgetown. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know a little bit. I'm trying to learn, and I have to do better. I have to be consistent. Yeah.
But this was a lot of history, a lot of rich history.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I totally.
So there's things out there we can do. We can support the museum because it's ongoing.
Yes.
So and they do take monetary donation as well.
Yes.
Volunteers. Executive director now is Takesha Smiley. So just be on the lookout for whatever we can do to try to help.
Yes, I will make it up for
this platform that we want to get information.
And you said the bricks is still going on, right?
Yes. And the bricks is for the museum?
No, that's for the memorial.
The memorial.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, got it.
So next week, actually, we are having a young lady.
Yeah, so I would do that, but let me thank you first for being on the show with us. We really appreciate all that rich history. But next week, we will have Stacy Howard Owens. She is with Zaka School of Arts. She will be starting a high school, and then she will be naming it after Georgetown High School. And if you know the history of Georgetown, I can't remember what year, but that school got blew up. And it's down in Georgetown. So she will be coming next week. So it's Stacy Howard Owens will be from Zaka School of Arts, and we look forward to her. But again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you very much.
We learned so much, and
so
it's a
2,
lot.
That would be the part 2 next week.
Yeah, Stacy will be. We'll be bringing the Montford Point on later on, but she will be she's with Zaka School of Arts, so it's two different ones. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Mr.
Before, yeah.
No, I think I've said too much already.
Well, it was good.
It's good, and I think
so glad that history is still in your heart. You remember it. You deliver it well. Thank you.
Yeah, we thank you
for having you. A lot of our viewers are actually learning a lot too, and so. Me.
Oh, I learned a lot, and I have to do. I have to make it up to learn more, and really, I'm African. I'm originally, so when people say Black Americans, I know I am original too. When I see you guys, I'm like, God, it's so much. Sometimes I cannot express enough to how I literally feel. Like my sister, she say that our history is not only 1 month.
No.
3, 6, 5.
Because we all making history. I can say I made some kind of history. Everybody makes some history. But this history right here is history that needs to go from generation to generation.
Generation. Continue to educate from home, community, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you.
L'Amour Media Versatility, we aim to provide comprehensive solutions to our clients. We have a team of experienced professionals who can help you with every aspect of your media needs. From documentation and marketing to promotion and more, we provide our clients with top-notch quality services. We understand that each client is unique and has specific needs. That's why our team works closely with you to understand your company and event goals and objectives. We are committed to providing the highest quality services in media and strive to exceed our clients' expectations. Our team is passionate about helping you reach your goals and making sure you get the best experience and results. If you're looking for a reliable business to help you with all your media needs, look no further than L'Amour Media Versatility. Contact us today to get started at 252-497-3817 or at www.lamour-photos.com.